everybody to the Superhumanistic Podcast, where we talk about all things health and wellness. We're your hosts, David and Jessica. Make sure you hit that follow button on this podcast so you never miss another episode, where we put out one episode a week every Saturday. Make sure you follow Superhumanistic on everything and share this podcast with someone that you love so that they can start incorporating these health and wellness tips into their lifestyle so they can live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Last week, we talked about eye health, and more specifically about the type of foods that you should be putting onto your plate. That way you can ensure that you're protecting your eyes on a daily basis, but then also protecting your eyes long-term from those eye diseases that can be common as people age. So if you want to learn more about the vitamins that should be going into your body and the type of foods to incorporate to get those vitamins, listen to last week's episode. This week, we are going to be focusing on the type of foods you should stop eating to help protect your mental health. We all know that there's that profound connection between physical health and mental health, and the foods that we eat can either sabotage or nurture our overall mood. We'll dig into the types of foods that you want to stop eating and why your brain will thank you for that. So I think we've all had those cravings for a quick sugar rush or maybe fast food for lunch to kind of help reduce some stress that you've been experiencing during a stressful week. These are common habits that can feed your hunger, but they could also be fueling your anxiety, depression, and even some of that brain fog that you might be experiencing. I know I get that a little bit in the late afternoon sometimes at work. So we're going to break down the growing body of research showing that certain foods negatively impact your brain function, your ability to focus, and your emotional state. It's that silent cycle that you kind of keep putting yourself into, where you eat something and it gives you kind of that temporary high, that temporary rush, that temporary boost. But as we all know, that typically comes crashing down and leaves you feeling worse than before. So you're going to jump into some foods.
I don't have specific foods here, but generally, like my husband was saying, you want to stick away from those foods that are higher in sugar. So we've done episodes in the past as well, if you want to go back and listen to those episodes, on ultra processed foods. So these are your foods that, like potato chips, anything that's been processed through like the factories, adding in all of those extra ingredients that we don't want in our foods. So sticking to more of those whole foods is where you'll want to buy the bulk of your foods for the week. We have done in the past as well gut health, and it's just so important to reiterate here that our guts are really like that second brain for our bodies, right? So there is something to it. As we eat healthier foods, you naturally start to just feel better overall with your health. Kind of like relating this to being diabetic. I know it's a little bit of a stretch here, but when you are diabetic, you have to eat more sugars at some points because you'll get that dip in your sugars, and that's like just that temporary boost, right? And your energy that you need as being diabetic. So think of it too for us as we eat those sugary foods. It's just that temporary boost that we're getting for the day. It's not something that's actually going to be sustainable for our bodies. So we want to make sure that we're actually sticking away from those sugar foods and finding like fruits and things that have higher fiber in them, those whole foods, so that we're able to sustain that energy and our mood for longer periods of time. So those unprocessed foods are typically fermented, and they act as that natural probiotic. So again, less processed foods you can consume, the happier and healthier that will likely be. So.
All right, guys, let's dive more into some specifics. I'll talk about added sugars. Think about your Cokes, your sugary drinks, your pastries, things like that. That can wreak havoc on your mood, basically. You kind of touched on it. It's really spiking your blood sugar levels, causing that initial boost of energy, but it's followed by that rapid crash. So this roller coaster effect that it'll have on your mood has been linked to being more irritable, anxious, and even studies have shown that that can lead to more depression as well. So make sure that you're staying away from those added sugars. You touched on it as well, those highly processed foods, those packaged snacks, frozen dinners, fast food. I know it's convenient, but the problem with those is they're loaded with those artificial additives, trans fats, and refined carbohydrates, which can promote inflammation in your brain, a factor that's been tied to depression as well. So artificial sweeteners, that's the next one. Replacing your sweeteners with something like aspartame is one. You're going to be aware of that because some research suggests that these chemicals may interfere with your neurotransmitters and the way that functions. So that could potentially lead to mood swings and even headaches. So excessive caffeine, I know we like our coffee, but you do want to limit it. You also want to make sure that you're giving yourself about 8 hours in between your last cup of coffee before bedtime, because moderately drinking caffeine and coffee can boost your energy. But if you do too much, that's going to disrupt your sleep and also cause issues with anxiety. Alcohol, it's a depressant, so plain and simple. While a glass of wine might help you unwind or relax after a long week at work, it can also disrupt your sleep cycle and deplete mood-regulating vitamins like B12 and amplify those feelings of sadness and anxiety in the long term. So again, guys, it's always important just to practice moderation. You can start by cutting back on certain foods to stabilize your blood sugar levels. You can avoid those mood swings and energy crashes that make you feel on edge. Reducing the inflammation in your brain as well can lead to clearer thinking and improve focus throughout your day. And cutting harmful substances like those artificial sweeteners or excessive caffeine really allows your brain's neurotransmitters to function correctly. Those could be things like serotonin and dopamine. You want to make sure that those are more at a balanced level. So, it's not about just stopping eating certain things. It's also incorporating those vegetables and fruits into your diet, nuts, healthy grains. So that's going to be essential and just really providing your brain with the nutrients that it needs to thrive. So if it's swapping some sugary soda for a glass of water, that's going to be a great start for you. Or picking a snack that actually has real ingredients instead of something that's ultra processed like a bag of chips. Those little small steps that you can start doing are going to start to add up, and your brain's going to really see those benefits. So that is what we had for you today when it comes to foods and your mental health, more specifically on stopping some of those more processed and sugary additives. So we thank you for tuning in, and make sure you follow Superhumanistic on everything. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with someone that you know that could use the information that we presented here today. And make sure that you nourish your brain, your body, and really unlock your full potential so you can be more superhumanistic. We'll see you next time.
Bye.